Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And with me today is the legendary Rayceen Pendarvis.
Bam! Greetings and salutations all.
Yes, we are here and we are so happy to welcome to the Team Rayceen YouTube channel, Jo and Rach. Welcome. The owners of the As You Are bar coming to town. Welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So let me just start this all off, give everybody a little bit of background about yourself and tell us about As You Are bar.
Go ahead, babe.
I'm Rach. This is Jo. We have been in the industry over 20 years combined. We used to run a queer bar in Adams Morgan, and it just came time to do it ourselves and do it a little differently. So we came up with the concept for As You Are bar, main goal to reach a broader amount of the queer community. So reaching into our aging community and down into our youth, 18 and ups, give them a space, two separate experiences in the same building. So downstairs, we have a cafe by day opening at noon, which is going to be like, you can co-work here, bring your laptop, get coffee. We'll have a full menu. And then at night, it'll turn a little vibey and loungy, still low music, conversational. And then upstairs on the weekends, we'll have a full dance floor. So full booze and coffee service and food. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so excited because there has not been, I know for the 18 plus girls, especially for people coming to college in DC, it's a college place. I remember when I moved here as an 18 plus, back in the day, and I was very happy. I mean, at the time there was only one 18 plus anything, for the queers especially. So that's really cool. I like to hear that.
We think it's so important to start your community at that age, to start building community, learning about the history of especially the queer community, and providing a safe space to do that is an honor.
Yes, certainly.
And you talk about the importance, and many people think about, how is this different? And how does it set apart from any LGBTQIA establishment in the district? So what would make yours so unique and so different? So tell us, let's dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our tagline is queering the gay bar agenda. I think our goal is to hire and promote and program folks that are not always reached out to in that community. So people who don't drink, again, the youth and the aging communities, having programming during the day, so it's not all late night, making sure we have non-alcoholic options so people who don't drink can still feel included. We want to decenter booze and decenter some of the more, over time, we've had some toxicity come into gay bar culture, and we really want to remove that, making consent paramount, training our safety management outside of the security aspect, which has a bad rap, as we found, especially in the last year. So we really want to focus on safety, which allows us to have better conversations with people surrounding consent, surrounding their safety. And I think those are some of the really big differences. Like Rach mentioned, wanting to offer several different environments in the same location so we can offer different programming for folks who need it. It's really community built. We're asking people what they want.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of what makes us different. We're signing on the dotted line, but we're building this space and the programming for this space with the community. So we've already gotten great feedback from different community members. Of course, we can only represent the pieces of the community we're a part of. So we don't know everything that makes different community members safe. So we need to know from them, what does safety look like to you? What does inclusivity look like to you? And how can we essentially create that in this space for all the different community members? One thing about the queer community is it touches every other community, right?
Yes,
all
yes,
these cultures, but there's queer people in all of them.
All of them. Yes.
Yeah,
And
we're
let's actually
everywhere,
dive
right?
into that a little bit. What has been some of that feedback and response that you have gotten from the LGBTQIA community so far?
Yeah, a lot of it is like representation. That's people's most go-to, is they want to see themselves behind the bar. They want to see themselves as safety management. They want to know that they're super welcome in the space. So the greetings that they get, the way people communicate with them, and also the safety management aspect of it, how we're monitoring the experience. Obviously, we're I guess you could say, at-risk community for like people targeting us, right? So everybody's welcome in this space. The goal is that you come as you are. Caveat that with, if you're not behaving in a way that is supporting and celebrating and loving the queer culture and the most marginalized of the marginalized in our community, then this isn't the spot for you. And we're going to tell you this isn't the spot for you. And you can go to any other bar on the street, have a great time. This one isn't for you. And if you are doing those things ignorantly, we're super willing to have the conversation to say, this is why we don't act like this here. And this is how it is. It removes people's sense of safety. So if you want to like learn and grow and be different, stay, learn and grow and be different. That we would love that.
So we were part of the Lesbian Bar Project documentary, which we were so fortunate to be a part of. And something a lot of people who were interviewed for that project said is that their local gay bar is a community center. It's a hub. And we really want to center that idea. So having resources for the more marginalized people in our community and outside of our community, having resources for unhoused people, having workshops for folks who are on the trans or GNC, but like non-binary folks who need resources and aren't sure where to get them. DC is such a transient city. So if we can be a hub, if we can have a lot of resources available from within these walls, then we're not only just all meeting together in celebration and having that moment of joy, we're also meeting each other and learning and helping each other out. And I think that's our real goal, is true community. And we've come away from that in some of our safe spaces. So we want to recenter that sense of community.
I love it. I love the whole feel. It reminds me of a mix-up, a clash of the DC LGBT Center / the Land of Rising bookstore, all with kind of like, you can have a latte and you can listen to a disco beat, and you can also, and meet and fellowship, which we don't have that privilege anymore because so much is gone.
Yeah.
And you talk about the hub, and let's talk about the call for queer artists, and why is that so important for you?
Centering queer art was important to us because it's such a representation of so much of our community. RIP Lambda Rising. I came to DC in 2005, so I got a few years spending my few pennies at Lambda Rising and just being in a space that, again, centered more community. There was less expectation on you, which is part of why we're opening as a coffee shop during the day. So you can just come and sit and, buy a coffee or sit at the counter and work on your laptop or read a book. I think we have been missing that. I think you're absolutely right. We've lost so many places of fellowship, and to get to put all that together, I think is truly our goal.
And, we have wall space, so why not put art on it and sell it? And we have, we're going to have the dance floor that's not occupied during the weeks. Why not bring groups in here, nonprofits or meeting groups, and let them have a space, right? If we're big believers in reallocating resources. So if we have a resource and we're not using it, then we want somebody to put their feet in there and use it, right? And we want to pay people for their time and pay artists for their work and give all those opportunities if we've got the resource.
Well, Team Rayceen is always doing stuff as well. Team Rayceen is always doing stuff. So we look forward to that, to see how we can utilize the space in any way, shape, or form. Yes.
No, it's exciting to have the art, to see how many members of our community responded to the call for artists was, first of all, was like really heartening, and obviously was amazing. And then also was a little disheartening, because that tells me that there isn't enough space for queer art in DC, which is such a wealth of culture already. So we're excited to like have this whole space dedicated to artists who are local and who are in our community. And one of the funny conversations we had surrounding this call for artists was what percentage we wanted to take of the artists' money. And we were like thrown. Like, do people take their money? Like, no, it all goes to the artists. We're happy to have, like, we're honored to display their work.
And like in that same vein, I feel like as an artist, to put your art maybe somewhere that's not centered toward your community, though your art might be centered toward your community, if you might be concerned, like it's not going to be understood or relatable or valued. And when that art goes in this building where they know their people come and celebrate and feel welcome, then they know that the value of that art on the wall is going to be higher than if it's, you know, sitting around with a bunch of heteros.
That's true. That's true. So I see it looks like you might be down at the location right now. Talk to me about the neighborhood and where you are.
That's a chat.
Yeah, we've had some challenges from the neighborhood. They're really against a dance floor. They're really against loud music. So we have really fortunately found a local team who's been working on the sound dampening process. So you can see behind us, there are panels into the windows. So far, our sound system is in and we have blasted it several times and you cannot hear it on the sidewalk. So we're getting to where we need in that regard, which is really exciting because the neighbors told us when we first met with them, there's no way you can soundproof this building. And our team, these wonderful guys, Boo and Bala, are working on that project in particular. They're actually downstairs installing panels in the ceiling.
They basically were like, hold my beer, I got this.
They were like, oh, we can't soundproof it? Heard.
Yes.
And so, and fortunately, they're musicians and sound engineers and experts in their fields. And we basically were like, tell us what we can do to assist you. And so, yeah, we've, our drapes come in this week. We're gonna have theater drapes along this wall. And as you can see from the light, we're really fortunate upstairs. We have a skylight. So we'll still get natural light. And then some of the panels we put on hinges. So when we do daytime events, we can open those windows and have a little more light in here.
One of the other concerns I think for the neighborhood we heard a lot was upon exit or during service, people hanging out outside and being loud in the sidewalks or going after closing and hanging out their cars and mistreating the neighborhood, which is for us was an interesting thing to understand because as queer or marginalized people, we're like, I'm going home because I'm not safe out here in these streets. So we have a very robust safety management plan for exit and sidewalk safety, essentially. And it's always interesting to me when we have that conversation because often they think our safety management plan is to help them feel better about our patrons. And in fact, it is very much about our patrons feeling safe in their neighborhood, which I think is a foreign concept because they think, well, we're not dangerous, but they are in their own way, right? The way they might call a cop or try to report us and get us shut down because they don't like our noise or whatever it might be. So trying to mitigate all the reasons they would have to call and potentially put our patrons into an unsafe situation. And of course, we want to be good community members and neighbors because we want people to be good community members and neighbors to us. So we're just trying to return that same favor.
We're actually, and I'd love to take this opportunity, we have had such an outpouring of support in terms of the neighborhood. We've had leadership groups send letters to the.
And what neighborhood is this, by the way, so the viewers?
So we are in Barracks Row, and the challenge is that we are on the 8th Street corridor where Phase was up until 5-6 years ago. But we're at the corner of 8th and E Street is residential. So there are houses across the street from sort of the back of our building. And that's the concern the neighborhood has, so they say. They've had lots of concerns. Every time we give them an answer to one, they have a new one pop up. So that's exciting for us, of course. But yeah, so we are right at that corner, which gives us great metro accessibility, which we're really excited about. We also, it was really important to us not to be in Northwest. I think Northwest is pretty inundated and can really put a paywall up for folks who don't have as much money. Ubering to a bar that you're going to go drink at on the weekends is expensive if you don't live in those neighborhoods. So
we really wanted to get closer and more accessible to east of the river and the northeast and southeast side of the city for that reason.
So having a southeast address was really exciting for us.
But if memory serves me right, what's so odd with, the community coming out in some in favor and some with so many questions, and working with, leadership, your ANC commissioners and what have you, and working with them. But many of those who are Washingtonians, such as myself, memory serves me right, that is the former home of the original Baxter's Mill, the District Soul, known for having parties and clubs and a whole lot of things that drew a lot more business to that area. It was a driving factor because when people come there, they would want to eat. So they go over to the restaurants to eat, or they come early and eat, and then they would come there and party. So it's a win-win for me, it's a win-win for everybody. And then the fact that it's a coffee shop, you can come there during the day, you can relax, you can have fellowship, and everybody knows coffee shops are the hub of creative people, creative
Absolutely.
This space of where everybody is, just they're relaxing and they're enjoying and they're creating, they're writing, they're working, they're on their computers, they're talking to people, they're having a wonderful moment of great interaction. That unfortunately, especially that we need now, coming out of COVID, everybody's been locked up for 2 years.
More than ever.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Yeah.
Certainly.
It's interesting you bring up like Bachelor Mill. When we were going through this process, as we're going through this process, a lot of the neighbors were saying that this has never been anything but a restaurant. So in fact, an ANC commissioner did some history digging, and in 1949, this building was Johnny's, which was a gay sing-along bar, and it was nightlife. It was listed as a restaurant because that was the only way they could sell booze back then. They didn't have like tavern license. So it's been a restaurant by license since 49, but it's been a nightlife hub. Then it turned into Madam's, and then Bachelor's Mill, and then Bachelor's Mill moved, and then Banana Cafe came in, and then District Soul Food. So it's consistently been a nightlife space and establishment. So I think that their history is a little, they weren't clear on the history, but our friends and supporters have made them quite clear. So that's helpful.
That was a really helpful part of our support, was seeing folks on Twitter doing that history and researching. Someone found out that 8th Street used to be called the Gay Way. And I think,
I'm a native Washingtonian, so unfortunately, I was gonna go way back with y'all to the early days. Unfortunately, I didn't want to go back as far as the Bachelor's Mill because I really would have been dating myself. But for I'm one who constantly are always showing up in meetings and letting people know the history of DC, what was there prior, how that corridor was always a safe haven for LGBTQIA folks. That is always, I've always loved that corridor. And most of the people who partied there live in the area. So folks would walk to the club.
They're neighbors. Yeah.
I also, it definitely speaks to gentrification, right? That the neighborhood has had some success pushing people out. Right now, there are only 2 other tavern licenses on 8th Street, which, as you know, used to be, I worked at the Phase. I would date myself and say my first gig was Apex right after it switched from Badlands to Apex. So that was my first job in DC. So I've been here a long time and watched the shift, but I remember when 8th Street was lit on the weekends, and it's good for, there has never in the history of the world had the queers moved into a neighborhood and it was bad for the neighborhood, ever. We're great tenants. What are you talking about?
The queers, they bring the neighborhood, they give it glitter,
Yes, honey.
We infuse life. Because we fellowship, because our joy is so precious to us. Yeah. And I'm like, y'all need to come be on our dance floor. You need some joy infused into your life, some fellowship, some community love, to walk into a space and feel comfortable. Lisa Canastrassi, who owns Henrietta Hudson in New York City, she was like, to watch someone walk into our space and to see their shoulders drop Ever since she said that, I'm like, I know what that feels like. This is why we do this, is to provide that, and especially to young people. Like if I had had a safe space at 19, I would have saved myself from a lot of dumb decisions that I just didn't know any better. So like to have a community, we're actually working with the Center on Aging Services, as well as youth groups like Smile and the DC Center. We're already in communication with those groups and are always welcoming more feedback. If you know groups that exist in DC and you want to tell us about it so that we can continue to put people together and create community, that's all we want to do.
Oh, that is so perfect. And that is so important. And so if people want to get in touch with you to find out more, to support, to, follow, and just to keep in touch with and to keep with all the updates, how can they go about and do that? So
we're on Instagram at As You Are Bar. We are on Facebook and Twitter. All of our little handles are right there. That's actually our building that you're looking at, 500 8th Street. DMing us is probably the quickest way. Currently, we do not have a social media intern, so it's just us. That's why we've been busy. So we haven't put as many reels up as we should. The kids are on us about our TikTok. We're working on it, I promise.
We also have a website. It's asyouarebar.com, where you can get swag, and that will also be amped up once we get some programming. Right now, the best thing you can do on there is get swag, maybe drop your email if you want to subscribe to our page, but that's a good place to get your next beanie maybe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jo and Rach, for joining us today. It was so great getting into the nitty-gritty of As You Are Bar. I am so excited for it to open. It's going to serve such a great purpose for our community. So I look forward to it. And I wish you guys so much success.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
You're
I'm looking to twirl through the doors.
Yes.
Bring your glitter.
Yes. No, we can't wait. Y'all are heroes. This is great. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
You're
Thank you so much. And to our viewers, if you want to follow me, you can at It's Krylios. For everything Rayceen Pendarvis, go to rayceen.com. And you can follow Team Rayceen on all forms of social media at Team Rayceen on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you so much. And most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.